This calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
Michelle Pfeiffer? The only true Catwoman is Julie Newmar, Lee Merriweather, or Eartha Kitt. And I didn't need molded plastic to improve my physique. Pure West.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
I love it when a plan comes together.
It's time. Let's talk about music, movies, and mostly television from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. Good evening to one and all. Welcome to the Good Stuff Live. My name is Dave Sundstrom, and if you enjoy talking about music, movies, mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, you've come to the right place. So, true confessions time. This is not live. This is actually a pre-recorded live stream, which means that you have the opportunity to continue to chat and visit with each other, but I was not able to do an actual live stream this week, so I recorded it in advance, and it's playing right now. The topic tonight is, well, it's everybody's favorite TV show, Welcome Back, Kotter. So what I've got a number of different videos that I'm going to show, and we'll talk a little bit in between each of the videos. But without any further ado, let me share the first video, which is an introduction to the show that we're talking about tonight, Welcome Back, Kotter. So who else remembers Welcome Back, Kotter? It's hard to believe now, but way back in 1975, this show, which was based on character from lead actor Gabe Kaplan's stand-up comedy routine, well, it was perceived as controversial and edgy because, as critics of the show would say, it celebrated and glamorized a gang of wisecracking, somewhat troubled teens. Looking back now, this show seems so darn tame. But I remember the old man telling me I couldn't watch it. Along with Gabe Kaplan, who played the title character, the kind, understanding, and always patient Mr. Kotter, Marcia Strassman played Kotter's wife, Julie. At first, her role seemed to be that of a listener. Yep, she'd listen to Gabe talk about his Uncle Herschel or some other relative, and of course help him work through whatever was the problem of the week. But later on, her role would get bigger, especially when Kaplan was having a contract dispute with the show's producers. But let's not get into all that yucky stuff today. Instead, let's take a quick time out here. Does anyone else remember these dolls? Oops, I mean action figures. If I recall correctly, Mattel also sold a classroom playset where you could have hours of fun recreating your own wacky Welcome Back Kotter storylines. Of course, John Travolta was the breakout star from the show. Travolta has said many times that he truly enjoyed working on the show, and he also, from time to time, reminds everyone that he had to ignore his acting teacher mother's advice, which was to not take the role of Vinnie Barbarino. She was worried that if Welcome Back Kotter became a hit, he would only get offers for that type of character. Fortunately, Travolta took a risk and signed on to the show anyway. Oh boy, I really wanted this thing. Sadly, two things were working against me here. My parents didn't love the show. Wait, better said, they despised the show. And secondly, by the time this lunchbox showed up on retailer shelves, my parents had become kinda anti-lunchbox. Yeah, I cried wolf a time or two and then returned to school lunch, so they were a little bit weary of buying me any more lunch boxes. So anyway, if I wanted to bring lunch from home, it was going to be in a brown paper bag. Here's a great picture from 2011. It was the TV Land Awards, where Welcome Back Kotter was recognized as having made a lasting impact on a generation of viewers. There you go. You know, Welcome Back, Kotter. That was one of those shows, I think I talk a little bit about it in the video, which is my folks weren't keen on it. As a matter of fact, at first we weren't able to watch it at all. But we kids, we have a way of working our parents, right? And getting them to finally, if not completely agree, at least turn the other way when we were watching the show, or, begrudgingly admit that it wasn't that bad of a show. And it was a great show. So much fun. And Gabe Kaplan, what a wonderful actor. It's one of those things where not too long ago, I actually thought to myself, is this guy still alive, or, has he passed on? And he's definitely still with us. As a matter of fact, I listened to a podcast not too long ago with Gabe Kaplan on it, and he's just as funny as he's ever been. One of the memories that I have of Gabe Kaplan is that race, that foot race that he had with Robert Conrad during one of the very first Battle of the Network Stars events. I hope you remember. Everybody remembers this, right? What? There are some of you that don't remember this race? Okay, I've got a video for you then.
What is happening, Captain Savalas, from the CBS point of view?
From the CBS point of view? No, I'm lodging a complaint for ABC, NBC, and CBS.
And what's the complaint?
Well, number one, being a representative of my ancestry who started the Olympic Games. I understand that somebody picked up the baton some 100 feet before the starting line.
So you think, therefore, NBC should be disqualified?
You mentioned the network. I didn't. Yes, I think so.
Therefore, ABC is the winner.
Yes.
Sorry about that, old boy.
Yeah, CBS is second.
All right. Have you reached a decision?
We have, Howard. We've looked at the tape a few times, and we have decided that on the last lap, Ben Murphy started considerably far ahead of his mark. And had he started where he belonged, first and second place would have been reversed. We have assessed a 2-second penalty on the NBC team, and we have changed the order of finish. ABC has won the race, NBC is second, and CBS is third.
CBS remains third.
Correct. It is our judgment that CBS was not affected by it. They would have finished third in any event.
Well, thank you very much, Howard. So ABC has won the sprint relay, and we're going to call in Captain Gabe Kaplan of ABC. Gabe, may we have your reaction?
Well, we didn't win on the track, but we won it in court. No, he did start a little early, right?
Yes.
So they didn't follow.
Films conclusively showed that. Any comment, Bob?
No, the tapes don't lie. The tapes don't lie. You're not disqualifying us for a technicality.
We did not disqualify you, Bob. You're not disqualified.
Start the tug of war between ABC and CBS.
Bob, you haven't been disqualified.
I'm the captain of this team. We ran a damn good race.
You're right, you did, but you would have finished second had Ben...
Like hell. Like hell. Like hell. Like hell. That's it.
All right. I want to be very...
Kaplan, get his team out there and run it with us. We'll determine who the best team is. You're going for a little negotiation technicality. That's your captain. He lodged the protest. You and I want to run 100 to see who the fastest is?
Yes.
Let's go.
All right.
Wow. We've had a whole change here.
Just a minute, Howard.
Yes.
They're going to have a runoff. We insist that we're in it as well.
If they run the race, they have to run the whole race, not between two people, Howard.
Farrah, baby, I'm not in charge of the rules committee, but clearly controversy has beset the Battle of the Network Stars. We'll see what happens in a moment. Well, it looks like the tournament committee and the teams have agreed finally to a runoff to determine the winner of the 100 points in the running relay competition. The runoff in 110 yards between Robert Conrad and Gabe Kaplan.
We're good. Anytime. Runners, take your mark. Get set.
That word from Silverman, cancellation was immediate if you lost.
That's the way I like it. Best man wins. Best team, CBS won. or NBC rather, best captain won. That's the way I like it.
Okay, the competition goes on. Thank you, Bob Conrad. And so Gabe Kaplan comes through in the clutch. He understands now why we call it the thrill of victory vis-a-vis the agony of defeat. Look at the smile etched in the visage as he breasts the tape. And so ABC officially wins the running relay, NBC second, CBS third. And to top it all off, the positive exultation of team conquest. Now the standings in the competition. NBC first, 175 points. ABC trailing by 25.
There we go. What a great race. I got to tell you, I remember watching that as a kid and just thinking that Robert Conrad was going to, I didn't think there was no doubt in my mind that Conrad was going to win that race. And, well, things turned out differently, and I was so happy that they did. Okay, well, let's try to stick with Welcome Back, Kotter. What I've got is I posted a survey on the community section on my channel a few days ago, and I asked, who was your favorite Sweathog? And I got a lot of responses. I think at the time that I put together this little video that we're going to watch in just a moment, there was over almost 3,000 responses, 29 something. And I don't want to go into too much detail. I'll let you guys see the results in just a second. But first, let's have a commercial message.
Oh, you finally found your young Prince Charming. Too bad your breath is so alarming.
Brush your breath, brush your breath, brush your breath with Dentine.
You made her notice you're alive, but she smelled your breath and took a dive.
Brush your breath, brush your breath, brush your breath with Dentine.
Not even mouthwash can freshen your breath more effectively than when you're chewing Dentine.
Gee, your birthday party was quite a treat till your breath just knocked them off their feet.
Brush your breath, brush your breath, brush your breath with Dentine.
How about one more commercial?
When you get up to get a drink, you really ought to stop and think about the ways to quench your heavy thirst. The refrigerator is loaded, but before you grab a soda, why not try a big wet glass of water first? Cold water is a drink that you can trust. No one's ever lost a tooth from rust. So try to drink 6 glasses, use the down between your classes. When you're thirsty, reach for water. You know you really ought to. It's the best no-calorie drink in all the world.
I know it's a great drink. I know water's a great drink. But then again, here's another no-calorie drink that I truly love. Diet Coke. No, we're not sponsored by the Coca-Cola beverage company, but boy, oh boy, this stuff is good. Water's good too, though. All right, here we go. Here's the countdown. Who was your favorite Sweathog? Look at these fellers. How can you not love all of them? Welcome Back, Kotter was such a fun TV show to watch. And you know what? While all of them were funny and charming in their own unique way, I think way back then we all had a favorite Sweathog, and most of us still do today. That's why I asked my YouTube community that exact question. Who was your favorite Sweathog? And I've got to say, I'm kind of surprised at the results. So with nearly 3,000 responses, it's time to share what you guys all said and definitely answer the question once and for all. But before I do, I must admit that I left a couple of Sweathogs out of the survey mix. I didn't include Mr. Kotter, even though he was a Sweathog himself years earlier, and I didn't include good old Bo, played by actor Stephen Shortridge. Bo was only a regular on the show during the program's 4th and final season. The choices that I gave the community were Barbarino, Epstein, Horshack, and Washington. So now let's share the results. Coming in the 4th position is Freddie Boom Boom Washington. Freddie was the most athletic of the Sweathogs, known for his skills on the basketball court, and his trademark phrase on the show was, "Hi there," spoken with a deep voice and a broad smile. Next up, with 16% of the votes, was Juan Epstein. Juan was a fiercely proud Puerto Rican Jew. When asked on the show if his mother was Puerto Rican, Juan replied that his mother's maiden name was Biberman, and that his father saw Puerto Rico from the ship as he was making his way to America and decided to settle there instead of Miami. Now here's the surprise, folks. I thought Vinnie Barbarino would be number 1 on the list. Way back when I was a kid, that's who we all wanted to be like, at least I did. As cool as Barbarino. But as time has passed, it would appear that Vinnie's popularity has decreased just a little tiny bit. 34% of the vote is pretty darn good, but it's not enough to win this survey. So on the program, Vinnie was a cocky Italian-American and the unofficial leader of the Sweathogs. During the 4th and final season of the show, John Travolta, the actor who played Vinnie Barbarino, only appeared in 10 of the episodes. Okay, Horseshack, you can put your hand down now. Here we are, number 1 in the hearts of so many welcome back Kotter fans as this feller. Arnold Horseshack, with 38% of the vote. I can hear him saying, ooh, pick me! And you know what? A bunch of you did. Who would have thunk that years later Horseshack would be the favorite of all Sweathogs? I didn't see that one coming. But I've got to admit, I am very pleased. The class clown of the Sweathogs, Horseshack was completely comfortable with his oddball and naive personality. Horseshack was known for his witty observations and his super unique laugh. Joey L. Rowland said, I was a kid, but I remember everybody loved Horseshack. Rest in peace, Ron Palillo. And Kimberly Wiederholt said, Arnold was just looking for his place in this world, a place to fit in. I can relate. One more comment. M. Khan said, I was a nerd like Horseshack and related to him a lot, except that I tended to stay in the back of the room and didn't try to answer any questions. One other Sweathog worthy of acknowledgement is Hotsy Totsy. I think her name was Rosie. This character didn't appear in all that many episodes, but whenever she did, it was memorable. I've actually created another video specifically about the actress who played Hotsy Totsy, Deborah Lee Scott. And as soon as this video is over, I'll play that one for you. Before we do that, here it is, one final look at the voting, and congratulations to the late, great Ron Palillo. Arnold Horseshack, well, he's the most beloved of all Sweathogs. Fair warning to anyone watching, there are no happy endings in this video. Still, when you look back at Deborah Lee Scott's career, there really is a ton worth celebrating. Now, I'm not going to talk much about the movies that she appeared in, but a couple that still stick out are American Graffiti, yep, that's a young Harrison Ford with Ms. Scott, as well as her reoccurring appearances in the Police Academy movie franchise. Instead, I want to focus on Deborah Lee's TV career. She first came to prominence on the farcical soap opera Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. While I was aware of that show, I wasn't all that interested, to be truthful. I guess I was just too young to appreciate that show's particular brand of humor. It was Deborah Lee's next television role, however, that really grabbed my attention. You see, along with every other kid in our neighborhood, I was a big fan of the TV show Welcome Back, Kotter, and Deborah Lee played a character that appeared in numerous episodes during that really great first season of the show. Her character's name was Rosalie, but her classmates and the Sweathogs knew her better as Hotsy Totsy. After that first season, she would reprise the role one more time in 1978 in an episode that brought us up to date on her life post-high school. And around the same time, Scott was making her mark, really making her mark, as a great celebrity contestant on game shows like Password Plus and Match Game. In fact, Scott is somewhat notorious for a particular moment during an episode of Password Plus. Yep, long before Ms. Janet Jackson, Deborah Lee invented the term wardrobe malfunction. The next thing that I remember Deborah Lee in was an ABC sitcom called Angie, where she played the main character's younger sister Marie. I remember when Angie debuted, it looked like the show was going to take off and run for years, like Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. But then the producers decided to have Angie get married at the beginning of the second season, and wouldn't you know it? Just like that, the show's ratings began to decline week after week, until finally, the network execs gave the show the axe. It really was a bummer because I liked that show a lot. So, after Angie, Deborah Lee made the decision to step away from the camera. She knew the industry well, and at that point, she was something of a seasoned, grizzled veteran, if you will. And because of her experiences, she decided to help others as they journeyed toward entertainment, fame, and fortune as a talent agent. It was rewarding work for her, and like everything else that Deborah Lee had ever done, she gave it her all. And you know what? She wasn't looking for love when she stepped into a bar in 1995 and began visiting with a burly, tattooed, cowboy hat-wearing feller who told her that he was in law enforcement. But whether or not she was looking for it, love found her, and for the next 5 years, Deborah Lee and John Dennis Levi were inseparable. And in 2000, after 5 years of courtship, he proposed to her and they began making wedding plans. Unfortunately, their fairy tale relationship was cut short by one truly horrible day. One of the worst in U.S. history. Officer Levi was one of those officers who rushed to the buildings to try and aid others, only to find themselves in peril. On that fateful day, Officer Dennis would ultimately end up giving his life to help others. From everything that I've read, he called Deborah Lee twice to tell her what was going on and that he was okay. Sadly, the most important call, the one where he would have told her that he was tired, exhausted, and ready to head home, well, that one never happened. As you might expect, this was an emotional blow that was truly devastating for Deborah Lee. I think Dickens said it best when he said, "You think you're going to die of a broken heart, but you keep living, day after day after terrible day." From what I've read, Deborah Lee retreated from the world and found comfort far too often in the form of a bottle. And in 2005, her sister urged her to come and spend time with her. And Deborah Lee agreed that it probably was a good idea. Unfortunately, she wasn't with her sister long before she unexpectedly, for unknown reasons, slipped into a coma, and after some heroic measures, Deborah Lee seemed to recover and went home with her sister, but 3 days later, just 3 days later, she went to sleep and never woke up. I know that I've heard people say that no one ever died of a broken heart, but I've got to say I don't believe it. I've seen it happen many times when a spouse passes away and before you know it, their partner follows. Quite simply, they just can't live in this world apart from the person that they loved the very most. And I truly believe that this is what happened with Deborah Lee. And I hope that somewhere and in some way she has now been reunited with her soulmate. This video is a bit of a bummer. Still, it's a story worth telling because Deborah Lee's life and the love that she felt is worth remembering, just like it is in each one of our own lives. Let's all resolve to tell those that we care for how much we love them. Let's do it today, because you never know if there will be a tomorrow. Alright, one more picture. I like this one a lot. Anyway, please share your memories in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Definitely a story worth telling. And were any of you like me and thought that Vinnie Barbarino would end up at the top of the list in terms of favorite Sweathogs? I was pleasantly surprised to see Arnold Horshack up on the top of the rankings when it comes to your responses in the survey results. So very cool. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. I wanted to bring your attention, or draw your attention, I should say, to my friends over at Remind Magazine. I've talked a lot about Remind Magazine. I'm not sponsored by those guys at all, but I'm a big fan. I subscribe to the magazine. And I've visited with someone at Remind Magazine, and they've given me permission to use their trivia questions and produce a video each month talking about what is in the current edition. So what we're going to do now is, first off, I want to draw everybody's attention to this. Remind Magazine is currently having an overstock sale, and they've got some back issues that they're going to sell for cover price for $5. Typically, these issues, once they are no longer available, they become collector's items and can go for $9-10 at minimum. That's what Remind sells them for. You go on eBay and sometimes you're even spending more. So I will post a link to, let me put this back on the screen here for a second more. In the description section of this video, I'm going to post a link to the various issues that you can pick up for that $5 overstock price. This, by the way, is only available to U.S. residents. My apologies for that if you're overseas and think that it looks pretty good. Well, it's a great magazine, but it is only distributed here in the U.S. So, again, in the description section, you'll find those links. For those who aren't acquainted with Remind Magazine, let me just give you a little preview of what's in the current edition, the March 2022 edition. Here it is, the March 2022 issue of Remind Magazine. This month, it's all about country music. The cover article is on country heroes. They've got Hank Williams here, profiled Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Kenny Rogers, Merle Haggard, Hank Williams Jr., Willie Nelson, and even good old Garth Brooks. The year this month that they're covering is 1962, and along with top news and all sorts of pop culture trivia, we've got the top TV programs, Beverly Hillbillies, no surprise there, along with Candid Camera, Red Skelton, Bonanza, The Lucy Show, Andy Griffith. The list goes on and on. Medium yearly income in 1962, $5,900. Wow. It also goes on to share like popular movies, Oscar winners, all sorts of good stuff. TV series premieres, finales, Billboard hits, sports information, popular toys. What was popular in 1962? A Flintstones pedal car, along with a Yogi Bear at Jellystone set. That all makes sense. And apparently 1962 was the year that Marilyn Monroe left. Passed away on August 4th. There's also a cool article on, let me see if I can find that really quick. Country music in movies. Talking about movies like Honeysuckle Rose, Honky Tonk Man, Tender Mercies. The list goes on and on. Let's see what else we have. All sorts of cool stuff. Hollywood news, strange but true facts. And then they go through, one of the things that Remind Magazine does every month is they go through the decades. You dedicate a couple of pages to each decade. And of course, you got the puzzle section. It's 12 action-packed pages of crosswords, word searches, Sudoku, and much, much more. Love that stuff. And there's some pretty cool pictures, too, along the way. I love that one. That's awesome. And then the ultimate trivia, again, this month is on how well do you know the kings of country? Anything else? A little something on Roy Rogers there. Very cool, in the Johnny Cash Museum. Another awesome edition of Remind Magazine. The March 2022 issue. It's really good. I've just started to go through it and read some of the articles. You can pick up your copy of Remind Magazine at various bookstores and in some grocery stores, that kind of thing. But the best way to get it is to subscribe. So I've included a link in the description section. I'm not sponsored by Remind Magazine or anything like that, but I am a big fan of their work. You know, if you enjoyed this video, I wouldn't mind. In fact, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. But most importantly, and as always, thanks so much for watching. There you go. That's the March 2022 edition of Remind Magazine. And even though I'll be truthful, I like some country music, but I'm more a fan of rock music and modern music. But even in that issue, there's just so much there to enjoy beyond all of the country music stuff. So great stuff. So we're going to watch a music video. Folks that attend my live streams, and well, they know I'm a fan of this band called The Weeds, an 80s band, late 80s band. I don't believe they ever really scored a major label record deal, but I love them because they're a rock band and they have a banjo in the band. It's a duo. And I don't know much about them other than I love this song. And so I play it a lot, and I'm going to play it here. We'll do this, a commercial, and then we're going to focus on Marcia Strassman, a couple things, a little bit of a profile on her career in life, and also let's cover the topic of her relationship with Gabe Kaplan as well, because it was a bit rocky. Let's just say that. So first the weeds, some commercials, and then on to Marcia Strassman.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't. Almond joy got nuts.
Mounds don't.
Almond joy's got rich milk chocolate.
Coconut and orange nut too.
Mounds got deep dark chocolate and chewy coconut.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Peter Paul, almond joy's got nuts.
Peter Paul mouse don't.
Because
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
Now you have your license. You can get behind the wheel, showing off your freedom, and you like the way it feels.
Heading for a good time.
Gonna pick up someone special.
Great taste.
Impress the lady.
Davy.
Busy for lunch, Grandma?
Good time, great taste.
We could go inside, Davy.
And get out of the car?
McDonald's.
All right. I love that commercial. That is such a fun commercial. Forgot there was such a long pause at the end there. Had to figure out how to take that off the screen. But hopefully everybody enjoyed the interlude. As promised, what we're going to do now is talk a little bit about Marcia Strassman. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I've got airplanes, jet fighters flying overhead, and they're pretty loud. I'm not sure how much the microphone picks up of that right now, but they have been, I'm located near an Air Force base, and boy, have they been flying a lot lately. But anyway, so Marcia Strassman, one of my favorite actresses from Welcome Back, Kotter, and just I've enjoyed her entire career, and feel bad it ended quite abruptly. So we're going to talk about her career first as a whole, and then we will talk a little bit about her relationship with Gabe Kaplan. So here we go. Marcia Strassman is one of those actresses where you just know that you've seen her before, whether it was television, the movies, or would you believe even the radio airwaves. During her life, Ms. Strassman made a memorable impact as an entertainer that one could instantly identify with. Sure, she was pretty, but she was also down to earth. Someone that, if given the opportunity, you could actually talk to, perhaps for hours on end. Her big break was on ABC TV's sitcom, Welcome Back, Kotter. It's hard to believe now, but way back in 1975, this show, which was based on characters from lead actor Gabe Kaplan's stand-up comedy routine, well, it was perceived as controversial and edgy because, as critics of the show would say, it celebrated and glamorized a group of kids that were in a gang. Of course, as time went on, it became clear that the Sweathogs weren't much of a threat to anyone, except maybe the institution of higher learning. Marcia played Kotter's patient, kind, and understanding wife, Julie. At first, her role seemed to be that of a listener. She would listen to Gabe talk about his Uncle Herschel or some other relative, and of course, help him work through whatever the problem was that week. It was a good role because it was a consistent paycheck, but truth be told, it didn't really stretch her as an artist the way that she would have liked. Since the late 60s, Marcia had been full of ambition and promise. She'd landed a recording contract and released a handful of singles before deciding that her main love was acting. By the way, you can listen to a few of these songs on YouTube. I put a link in the upper right-hand corner to the Flower Children. It's my favorite of her songs. It's a fun little hippie anthem that sadly never got the attention that it deserved. The first role that I really remember Marcia in was as Nurse Margie Cutler on MASH. It wasn't a one-shot, it was a recurring role, and she appeared in 5 or 6 episodes during, well, early in MASH's run, and did a great job as a nurse who seemed more than just a little smitten with Alan Halda's Hawkeye Pierce. After that, she would appear as a guest star on the anthology series Love Story and Police Story and Marcus Welby MD before landing the role that really defined her in the 70s. Yep, whether she wanted it or not, Marcia Strassman was Julie Kotter. She played that role to perfection. even when she wasn't all that pleased about what the scriptwriters were having her say and do. As time rolled on and the cast and creative team prepared for what would be the show's 4th season, Marcia became even more vocal about her dissatisfaction with the show. Apparently, viewers felt the same way, as the show's ratings tanked, and in 1979, ABC decided to pull the plug. Of course, this wasn't the end of Ms. Strassman's career. She continued to find work in both television and movies. I particularly loved her in the 1989 Disney movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Heck, anything with Rick Moranis is alright with me. And around the same time, Strassman had a recurring role in the 21 Jump Street spin-off Booker. I think she was the best part of that show, which starred Richard Grieco and aired for a single season on Fox. After that, there were lots of other roles, especially on TV. This next part doesn't make me happy at all. In March 2007, Strassman was diagnosed with advanced breast cancer. She talks about that experience in her book, Life with a Side Order of Cancer. And in that book, she steps outside of her own world and offers up advice to others who might be suffering in a similar way. Sadly, along with the breast cancer diagnosis came the realization that it had also spread to her bones. This horrific news did not stop Marcia, however, from celebrating with most of the Welcome Back Kotter cast during the 2011 TV Land Awards, where the show was recognized as a television sitcom that made a lasting impact on a generation of viewers. I think Marcia looks great in this photo. Her smile clearly demonstrates that she was able to shake off the stress and worries of her health for at least one evening. In 2014, Marcia passed away due to complications from the disease at her home in Sherman Oaks, California, surrounded by those who loved her. She was 66 years old. Alright, one final pick of Strassman is Julie Kotter. Yep, she had a lot of roles, and this one may not have been her favorite, but it was mine, and this is how I like to remember her. Whether she wanted it or not, Marcia Strassman was Julie Kotter. She played that role to perfection on the classic ABC TV sitcom Welcome Back Kotter, even when she wasn't all that pleased about what the scriptwriters were having her say and do. As time rolled on and the cast and creative team prepared for what would be the show's 4th season, Marcia became even more vocal about her dissatisfaction with the show. In fact, in a 1978 article in People magazine, Strassman talked about her difficulties working with Kaplan, who she said she just couldn't seem to connect with. He was either hot or cold, and she never knew which Gabe she would be working with that day. In the article, Strassman says that she'd like to see the series come to an end, and apparently viewers felt the same way. The show's ratings tanked, and in 1979, ABC decided to pull the plug. Long after the cancellation of Welcome Back Kotter, Strassman and Kaplan, well, they finally connected. They reminisced about their turbulent times on the show, and they discovered that series producer James Komack was separately telling these two actors that they didn't like each other. The truth of the matter is that there actually had been a feud. They actually had not gotten along all that well while on the set of Welcome Back Kotter. But you know what? These incredibly wonderful, talented people managed to forgive each other and move forward with a friendship that would continue for the rest of their lives. There you go. A friendship that continued throughout the rest of their lives could not be destroyed by one Mr. James Komack. At least that's the way it seems like things shook out a little bit, that he was a little bit of an instigator, and that whether it was a creative decision that he was making, he liked having those two actors at odds a little bit. All right. So, first off, thank you to everyone who has hung out with me today. This is going to be a little shorter live stream simply because, like I said, this is a pre-recorded live stream. I'm not here with you tonight. I am unable to do a live stream this week, but I still wanted to provide all of you that opportunity to get together as a community, to visit, and I thought this would be a fun format to do it in. I've had folks asking for me to do something on Welcome Back Kotter, and I had a number of videos already in the can, and then I had the survey that I wanted to make a video on, so There you go. We've had a chance to watch them all today. I want to say to everyone that hung out with me tonight, just thank you. Thanks for hanging out, and thanks for your support, for your engagement. It's what makes creating these videos so much fun. Got a little video for you here, and then I'll be right back.
Someone is trying to embarrass me.
Yep. Thank you for your support. You guys as a community, well, I could tell you you're special, but I'd rather have Fred Rogers say it.
You are special.
I truly appreciate your support. And like I said, thanks for hanging out with me here. Even if I'm not actually live and this is a pre-recorded live stream, me putting it together, I've just kind of felt I'm excited to see how it plays out. And so I'll be watching this live stream after the fact. And hopefully I'll be able to follow along in the chat and kind of see what everybody's saying. So thanks again for hanging out with me tonight. And I look forward to reading your comments, seeing what you said in the chat. And I just hope everybody I hope you've had a great time reminiscing about Welcome Back, Kotter with me. And then I hope you have a great remainder of the week. Take care, everyone.